Finance charge, setup, and review. Finance charges can be applied to your accounts receivable at a rate that you set up in MaxxTraxx in accordance with your AR invoice due dates. Let's take a look. From the Setups on the menu bar, select Accounting and Payroll, then select AR due dates and finance charges at the very bottom. Here, we have two options to choose from to calculate a due date for invoices that we charge on account at our shop. Let's say, for example, with this radio button selected, if we post an invoice to accounts receivable on July 14th, that invoice will be due on the 10th of the following month, August 10th. If we posted an invoice to AR on July 31st in this example, that invoice would be due September 10th, since it was charged after our cutoff date of the 30th. You can set these days to whatever you like. Another method to set a due date for charged invoices is to calculate the due date a set number of days from the date the AR invoice was charged. Let's say, for example, we chose 30 days from the sale date. So an invoice charged on July 14th would be due August 13th, since there are 31 days in July. This would result in a customer statement that, say, has 4 invoices charged throughout the month, with 4 different due dates listed on their statement using this method. Now, the finance charges are calculated based on the due date that you set above. The finance charge feature is a manual function that you would do on a monthly basis right before you print your AR statements. We'll look at that in a minute after we review these setups. Here, I have a 1.5% finance charge set in my system with a $1 minimum. Some states may limit the amount you can charge, so please look that up for your region. So any invoice on a customer account that has exceeded its due date, as calculated above, will have a finance charge entry made on their account when we run finance charges. And if this box is left unchecked, the next finance charge will be calculated on past due invoices and any past due finance charges, using the same due date calculation above for those finance charges. I'll check this box so I don't add any more finance charges to any existing past due finance charges. If this box is checked, the finance charge policy you have selected above will print on your AR statements. With this box checked and my finance charges set above, the statement says, overdue accounts are charged 1.5% interest with the minimum finance charge of $1. We can also add a personal note that will appear on the printed AR statements in addition to that finance charge policy statement if we've entered anything in this box. Now that we've set up our finance charges, let's apply them to any past due invoices. From the menu bar, click on Customer Service and select Accounts Receivable Statements and select Post Automatic Finance Charges. Most users do this step immediately before printing their AR statements. Here we enter a date to tell MaxxTraxx post finance charges on all outstanding invoices that are past due as of this date. So if today is July 14th and I decided I was going to run statements today for this example, if I put in July 11th, which is 1 day past my cutoff date in my finance charge setups, MaxxTraxx would charge a finance charge on all customers that had past due invoices, even though I may have already received and posted their payments yesterday, July 13th. This is similar to a credit card company, which would probably say that you're late if your payment comes in past the due date, even though it posts before they run statements again for the next month. I found most shops typically run this function right before they mail statements, which is typically their cutoff day, in our case the 30th, or a day or two later. Shops usually enter the current date or the 30th in our case in this finance charge date field. So if any of their customers did mail a payment, say you received it and posted it on the 22nd, even though their payment was technically late, they aren't going to charge their customers a finance charge when they may not even have an outstanding balance at all. It's completely up to you, but that's why you can select an earlier date. So for this example, I will enter July 11th and charge finance charges to any past due invoices that were in MaxxTraxx as of July 10th, and click OK. Here, we're getting a warning that it has been less than 30 days since our last finance charge posting. That's okay just for this training video. It notes the best time to run this function is just before you print your AR statements. And we can unselect anyone we don't want to charge finance charges to or edit those finance charges and click OK. If we go into a customer record now that we knew had a past due invoice and look at their AR transactions, we would now see that they have a finance charge posted on their account as well. And note, there already was a finance charge on their account from our June finance charge posting for invoice number 10155. Now we can easily delete any finance charge on a customer account just by highlighting the finance charge and clicking on delete. Simple as that. And the statements will look like this. The original invoice, the finance charge, our personalized note we had typed in setups, and the finance charge policy statement. Last thing, note the balance is in the current section because the balance is not yet a full 30 days past the due date listed here, 6/25, yet it's still past due. And this concludes the lesson on finance charge setup and review.